Welcome back, 8th grade. Today we'll continue working with rational expressions and we are going to be multiplying them today. And if you remember, one of my favorite sayings in math, and it's one I've been using with you since 4th grade, is to simplify before you multiply. This is why. All these years you've been asked to do this, and today is the day you discover why. All right, so we'll start with a simple fraction problem. The strategy on multiplying fractions is we want to look for an opportunity to simplify the factors before we do the multiplication. The multiplication has to happen last. So in this problem, in the numerator, we have two factors, 3 and 2. And in the denominator, we have two factors, 4 and 9. And any factor in the numerator can simplify with any factor in the denominator. So we can look at the 2 and the 4 that have a common factor of 2, and the 3 and the 9 have a common factor of 3. And when we simplify them and then we multiply, we get 1/6. Very simple, easy way to multiply. We're going to take that same thinking now and apply it to rational expressions. So here we have in the numerator 3x times 2, and in the denominator 4 times 9x. Well, we know that 2 and 4 have a common factor of 2, so we could divide each of them by 2. And then 3x and 9x have a common factor of 3x. And if we divide that, we're left with 3. And now we can multiply. Sometimes we're going to have squared terms or cubed terms, and same thinking applies. We would factor the 2 and the 4 by a factor of 2. And now we could still use a factor of 3x, but we're left with an x now because 9x squared divided by 3x would leave us with 3x, sorry. And so now we can multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. Now sometimes we will be using binomials as factors. Now these don't have parentheses around them, but you could do that if that helps you understand that the whole binomial is the factor. So we have x times x minus 3 in the numerator. We have x plus 4 times x minus 2 in the denominator. And in this case, there is nothing to simplify, so we would just leave it in this form. We would not actually do any multiplication. So the first thing you have to think about is there an opportunity to factor any of our factors? And in this case, hopefully you see that 4x squared minus 1 is a difference of squares binomial. So we could rewrite this as 2x plus 1 times 2x minus 1. So we still have this 3 as a factor that can simplify with this 6. So this becomes a 1 and this becomes a 2. And then we have 2x plus 1 as a factor both in the numerator and the denominator. So it would go away. So what are we left with then? Well, we still have 2x minus 1 in the denominator, and the numerator is 2. So we have 2 divided by 2x minus 1. All right, so as we continue on, there'll be more and more factoring that you'll have to identify first so that you can then simplify and multiply. So difference of squares here. This could be rewritten as x plus 2 times x minus 2. And as soon as I do that, I can see that there's an x minus 2 factor in the numerator and an x minus 2 factor in the denominator, so that can simplify away. Now this negative 8x minus 16, a clue is we have 8x here. So we need to see if there's an opportunity to simplify with 8x, but you know what I'm going to do is just look for the common factor. Common factor of 8 here, and well, we could maybe say negative 8. Let's just try that, and we're left with x plus 2. Oh, look at that. So then we have an x plus 2 in the numerator and an x plus 2 in the denominator. So what are we left with? Right now we have negative 8 in the numerator and we have 8x in the denominator. So we can simplify by a factor of 8. That becomes -1, and that becomes x. So we have -1 divided by x. Okay, so this is a loaded problem. So we have a fraction in the form of 2 binomials times a trinomial. Now that trinomial we can think of as a fraction over 1, right, if that helps us. So first thing, you probably want to do as much factoring as possible. So the 3x plus 2, I believe, is in factored form already, but 2x plus 4, we could take out a 2, and we're left with x plus 2. And we're going to multiply that times the factored form of s squared plus 5s. Oh, I'm guessing that should be an x. Yeah, that's a typo on my part. Sorry about that. We'll just call them x's. X squared plus 5x plus 6 would be x plus 2 times x plus 3. All right, so now what can we simplify? What can we cancel out? Well, that x squared and that x squared can go away. And I think that is it. So again, we're not going to multiply. We're just going to leave it in factored form. So we have 3x plus 2 as one factor. We have x plus 3 as the other in the numerator, and the denominator we have 2 times 1. So that's as far as we can take that problem. Wow, I really did have trouble with these variables, didn't I? So we're going to, instead of x here, we'll call that a c. Wow, sorry about that. So we have 3 divided by c times the quantity of c cubed minus c, which we could write as a rational number over 1, right? So I'm thinking we need to factor c to the third power minus c by factoring out a c. And that leaves us with c squared minus 1, which is the difference of squares. So that could be, well, first of all, let's see. Let's take care of that c. That can go away with that. So now we have c squared minus 1, which could be written as c plus 1 times c minus 1. And we still have it times 3, which came from here. And there's nothing in the denominator but a 1. So that is our factored form of that multiplication problem. Okay, so again, I'm going to make this a fraction just to keep it clear. And we have a trinomial here that needs to be factored. Our 2x divided by the quantity of x plus 3 is nothing we can do with that. But x squared plus 2x minus 15 could be rewritten as x plus 3, x minus 5 over 1. And then hopefully you can see the common factor here of x plus 3. And so then we're just going to multiply. And it's going to be 2x times the quantity of x minus 5. And then the denominator is just a 1. So that is the product. Okay, so your assignment is on page 659. Hopefully that wasn't too fast for you, but if it was, you can always go back and take another look and check your answers with the attached key when you are done. Have a good day.